Throughout my teenage years and early adulthood, making friends is something I've always struggled with. And for the longest time, this was a huge problem for me. I couldn't figure out the formula. How do you make a friend? There's no rule book on this. I want to show you what I've learned, because I've come to find out this is one of the most important things you can learn as a human. This is something that I've struggled with for the longest time, as long as I can remember. I think the only time where I really had this knuckled down was when I was a child. And I thought for the longest time it was just because I can't relate to other people. I have such unique, specific goals, dreams, and aspirations that the way I'm doing my life just doesn't relate to other people, and so we don't click. And what I realized through self-reflection and journaling was, oh no, I have a predetermined outlook to the way my interactions are going to go. Because if I think, okay, well, this person's not going to like me, I'm not going to be my full expressive self, I'm not going to give my full self out there, I'm going to be a version of myself that is a bit more safe, right? And then we don't end up connecting and we don't end up vibing. I can then come around and be like, okay, it was a good thing I did that, because if I had been my full expressive self and then they didn't like me, that would have hit my ego. That would have been something that means they really didn't like the full version of me, but they didn't get to see that. So I'm good. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a way of protecting myself and my ego. And so because of this, it caused a lot of negative interactions that really knocks my self-esteem. I just thought I was an unlikable person. And in a way, I probably kind of was. Alright, it took me way too long to figure this out, and I don't want it to be the same case for you. I can't tell you how many times I failed at this and had to pick myself back up again until it finally worked out. I felt like I was constantly changing and fixing myself over and over again. I studied books, watched videos, journaled and reflected on where things were going wrong, but I couldn't figure it out. What nobody's going to tell you is social interactions are made up of internal and external factors, with 80% of them being internal and 20% being external. The most common advice people will give you is be yourself. But I think that's terrible advice. What if you don't even know who you are yet? What if you know who you are, but you don't like yourself? What if you're a terrible person? What if you've been being yourself this entire time but people still don't like you? Be yourself doesn't fix the problem. Shit. This is a two-way interaction, right? Don't put so much pressure on yourself to be liked. If you're going into this interaction thinking, how can I get this person to like me? Will this person like me? You're putting so much on external validation. You're hoping and praying that this person is going to see you in the way that you want them to see you. And if they don't, you're going to see it as a reflection on yourself that you're not good enough. But the problem is you're coming into the interaction with an external goal. And not everyone's going to like you. It doesn't work that way. Some people are going to like you, some people aren't. So you have to come from an internal place of, first of all, knowing I'll be okay no matter what. This isn't life or death, whether this person likes me or not. And do you like them? Is this a person I want to be friends with? Do we have shared values? Do we have shared morals? Do I like this person? That's a question that you have the ability to ask and have the right to ask. It's not a one-way conversation. My knees, man. My knees. Self-esteem is the foundation to everything, not just social interactions. A lack of self-esteem can be seen in so many different ways. This guy wishes he had the self-esteem to go talk to strangers, but instead, he hides behind his phone, acting like he's too preoccupied to engage with what's happening around him, when in reality, he's just scrolling on the weather app. This guy sits on the sidelines, watching everyone else have a good time and silently judging them. He makes fun of the guy on the dance floor who's probably too drunk and kinda making a fool of himself. But the difference is, he's having the good time. You're sat at the side of the club, watching everyone else, choosing to silently judge people because that's easier than confronting the fact that you lack the self-esteem to let go and enjoy yourself the same way. Because if you did, someone might have those same thoughts about you. This guy lacks self-esteem more than you realise. He's just better at masking it. His self-worth relies on the attention of others. If you tell him about your recent experience in Thailand, he'll tell you how he did that at 18, and he's graduated to trips in Miami. Any story you tell him, he has to find a way to one-up, because if he isn't the most successful one in the room, in his eyes, he may as well not be. All three of these people lack the same thing, but they show it in different ways. Each one of them look for validation from people around them in order to finally feel good about themselves. The approval of others acts as permission
for them to either stop trying to blend in or stop trying to stand out. And once you start to learn this, well, it's impossible not to see it. The first step to building self-esteem is practicing consciousness. To address where you're lacking in self-esteem, you first have to be aware of it. Where are you avoiding attention? What things do you put off? What scenarios do you get nervous in and shut down? Once you've figured out what the problems are, you can then begin to tackle it. But to do that, you first have to be aware of it. The next step is practicing self-acceptance. This doesn't mean looking in the mirror saying I love you to yourself till you finally believe it. It means understanding who you are and accepting it, so that when you go into conversations, you're not trying to change yourself to fit in or act like someone else. The next step is self-responsibility. This means accepting your mistakes and your winnings as yours and yours only. Not trying to shift blame onto other people and instead taking accountability for your actions. Lastly, self-assertiveness. Trust that your thoughts and ideas have importance and share them. You might still get things wrong, but so does everybody. It's better to honour yourself and put yourself out there with the chance of getting things wrong than to disown your thoughts and beliefs in order to protect yourself from the opinions of others.
So this is a true story. I stayed at two friends' houses recently. One of my friends was living in a family house. It was him and his family, and they kept the place immaculate. It was clean, it was wiped down, all the surfaces were kept clean, and the rules and way that they lived were clearly set. And I also stayed at one of my other friends' houses, which was a uni household. You know how uni houses are? There was negligence to keeping it clean because priorities were probably elsewhere, right? And so in both of these scenarios, I'm staying at these friends' houses, there is a subliminal message that is being said by the way that they're treating their spaces, which tells me, inadvertently, what's okay and what's not okay. In the clean household, if I'm to eat something, drink something, and leave the dishes out and not clean it and not follow procedure for what everyone else is already doing in that household, it says so much about me. I'm disrupting the way things are there. I'm disrupting the rules that have been set because they have already clearly set out the way that they want this house to be treated. Whereas in the other household, the uni household, because there's already such negligence towards cleaning the dishes and no one's come around to do it, what's one more cup? What's one more bowl? It's not as big as a deal, and it doesn't say as much about me because I'm not inadvertently breaking any rules here that have been set because it's clear they don't really care anyway. And that is also so applicable to yourself and social interactions. Treat yourself the way you want to be treated. In both these scenarios, they're treating their spaces the way that they expect other people to treat it. And the same goes for you. In a social scenario, your relationship with yourself and your self-respect and your integrity translates so much into social interactions and the way people treat you. When people treat you a certain way and you don't like it and you don't speak up for yourself, you are inadvertently telling them, it's okay, I will not punish you for treating me this way. Whether you know it or not. The times where someone said something you didn't like the way they said that to you, or the times where you feel like someone overstepped a boundary and you didn't speak up and assert yourself and say, I didn't like the way you did that. Unknowingly, you have then communicated to them that you let it slide, it's okay. If I can treat myself that way and set those boundaries for myself, then people will respect me enough to also treat me that way because I've already shown, like the house, that I'm already doing this without you being here. I'm already keeping myself clean. I'm already taking care of myself. If you then cross that line and don't take care of me the same way I'm taking care of myself, it's going to say a lot more about you. Whereas if I'm not taking care of myself and I'm neglecting myself, it's not as big as a deal. And that's a massive thing that took so long for me to figure that out. Anyway, I need to clean this up. Something that I still really struggle with is accepting that I have no control over what opinions other people have of me. Sometimes I worry that I'm too unprofessional and honest and brutal with the way I present myself and the things that I say, that I'll rub off badly on the people who are looking for more personal, introspective, gentle kind of video. And the truth is, I feel like I'm both. Maybe the way I look will rub people the wrong way. Maybe I should be smiling more.
Maybe because I'm wearing earrings, it might make people think certain type of way about me. And there's really no answer. There's no conclusive advice that I can give that will fix this, apart from the fact that you can't control it. And it's just coming to an acceptance. I can't control the way people think about me. I'm going to Lisbon, Portugal for the first time. All I can do is put my best foot forward, make what I think is a good video, showing what I can do. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And the same goes for the type of audience that I'm trying to attract. Some people aren't gonna like me, and that's just the way that it is. Not everyone's gonna like you. Not everyone's gonna like what you're doing. But all you can do is honor yourself. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, you can adapt and improve.